Hi, Michael Bloom here, chiropractor. Today what I want to talk to you about is shoulder problems, and particularly the nagging, aching type of shoulder problems which come about, and often not from an injury, but they just start to build up and all of a sudden you're noticing that your shoulder doesn't feel great. Typically the type of pain I'm talking about is the sort of pain you'll notice where if you leant behind you in the car to reach for something, you'd feel uncomfortable. If you were trying to, if you're female trying to do up bra around the back, it would be uncomfortable. If you slept on the shoulder, it could be uncomfortable. It's just that nagging ache, but it's in the absence of an outright injury. So you haven't necessarily, been tackled on the sporting field or tripped over and landed heavily on your arm, but you're just starting to notice that build up of shoulder problems. And it's so common. Like, it's literally one of the most common things that people come and attend our office for. And I'm sure it's one of the most common things people attend other chiropractors and other manual therapists, such as physiotherapists' offices for, are these nagging shoulder problems. And let's delve a little bit more deeply into why they happen, why they build up, and some of the things that you might be able to do just to help to remedy them. So going a little bit into an anatomy lesson for the shoulder, one of the key reasons why the shoulder can head down that road of that nagging, debilitating shoulder, sort of doesn't move and hurts a lot, is because of the anatomy. So the shoulder is literally, your arm hangs off the side of your torso, and clearly the arm needs to be connected to the torso, and it's done through soft tissues and essentially a lot of muscles. So as opposed to the hip, so the hip is a ball and that it fits quite nicely into a socket, and there's some ligaments that stabilize that hip. The shoulder's quite different. It's the arm hanging, the torso here, and then it's muscles that start from the torso and wrap around the shoulder that connect the shoulder and help to move the shoulder. And in that lies some of the potential issues. So the common issue with the shoulder that I'm referring to is termed rotator cuff syndrome. So the term cuff is, a cuff is something that wraps around, clearly like a cuff on a jumper. It wraps around my arm, and the rotator cuff are a group of muscles that wrap around your shoulder, and they actually help the shoulder to move in a variety of different directions, such as rotating inwards, rotating outwards, moving up, moving down, for example. Those movements, those key essential movements of the shoulder, are coming about from really 4 key rotator cuff muscles. And the problem lies in the fact that sometimes those rotator cuff muscles fatigue, inflame, and therefore start to cause pain and debilitation with moving the shoulder. The rotator cuff muscle group, it's particularly susceptible to certain shoulder or arm movements. So the movement of your arm up high, if you are repetitively doing that type of movement, it can really lead to a reduction in the blood supply to some of the rotator cuff muscles and lead to an increased likelihood of inflammation through the muscle and its tendon, which can lead to these sort of problems. So there's an important tip. If you are regularly having to use your arm above your head, or if, for example, you know that you get into a sleep position at night where your arm's above your head, you are more likely to have an issue with your rotator cuff muscle group and therefore your shoulder. So there's one thing you can try and amend. Like, for example, let's say you're always having to get into a top cupboard regularly, like repeatedly you're having to go up into a top cupboard. I would suggest having a little footstool near there, using a footstool to get up so you're not having to use your arm